When most people hear 1989 these days, they probably think of this. If they're a bit older, they might think of this or this. But when I hear 1989, my mind instantly goes to this. Kids growing up in the 1980s basically had three themes to choose from: town, castle, and space. But right before the decade ran out, LEGO turned the Golden Trio into the Core 4. The introduction of the Pirates theme opened up a whole new landscape of imagination, and had kids across the globe setting sail for adventure on the high seas, searching for lost treasure, and engaging in epic maritime battles across oceans, all without leaving the living room floor. Helmed by one of the greatest LEGO designers of all time, Niels Milan Petersen, Pirates would eventually blossom into an evergreen theme consisting of dozens of sets and spanning generations of builders. But it all started here with these 11. So in today's Retrospectacle, let's find out why, after all these years, the Pirates of 1989 are still revered as one of the greatest waves in the history of LEGO. Welcome to TrikBrix. Hello everyone, I'm Jamie. Few LEGO themes spark my interest and get my creative juices flowing quite like Pirates. The opportunity for new adventures, stories, and expansions are boundless. And while the same can be said for many themes, it's the mix of history and fantasy paired with iconic builds, fantastic characters, and tropical locales that really draw me in. It doesn't hurt that there's so much gold to be plundered either. And I'd say that LEGO Pirates sprouted from humble beginnings, but they really weren't all that humble. In fact, you'd be hard-pressed to find a theme that enjoyed a more auspicious rollout. So let's turn back time to 1989 and take a look at this legendary wave. We're gonna go in order of set numbers, so that first brings us to 6235 Buried Treasure. Now, before you skip ahead thinking this is just a little rinky-dink polybag style build, this was actually a pretty big deal. While indeed tiny, at the time, nearly half of this set's 20 pieces were brand new elements or prints. This was the debut of the monkey, flintlock pistol, cutlass, bandana, and my favorite, the classic chrome gold coins, of which we get 8 in this little set. And while by now we've seen 100 pirates like this, back then he was revolutionary, being among the first to sport anything other than the classic LEGO smiley face. And despite the small size, I love this simple scene depicting either burying treasure or digging it up, and it integrates well with a few of the other sets on this list. As a quick side note, tan bricks and plates wouldn't be widely available until the mid-90s. So you'll see yellow used to represent sand in all of these sets. While not quite as accurate, it adds an undeniable vibrance to the builds. Next in line is 6245 Harbor Sentry. This one introduced even more new at the time elements, the two biggest being the boat and cannon, but also the oars, epaulets, and bicorn hat. It also gave us our first Imperial Soldier, and another new face print, one that would see service across various themes for the next 13 years, all the way to 2002. Depending on when and where you bought this, your cannon was either fully functional, with the ability to lob 1x1 round bricks, transitional, with the shooting mechanism disabled, or non-firing, which was a static single-piece element. I definitely prefer the functional variety, but you better have plenty of cannonballs on hand because once they leave the barrel, they have a tendency to disappear forever. But there's something to be said for the aesthetics of the non-firing version too. The transitional types are kind of the worst of both worlds. I find the set itself a bit comical, with this cannon being way too oversized for such a small boat. In fact, I prefer to ditch the cannon altogether and replace it with a troop of Imperial soldiers. All in all, this is a fun set, but I feel like you could probably skip it if you're not a completionist. And even if you are a completionist, I wouldn't fault you for not picking up 6251 Pirate minifigures. Not because it's a bad set. On the contrary, if I could pop into Toys R Us or KB today and buy this for the original retail price of $6.50, I'd do so in a heartbeat. But if you have all of the other sets in the wave, in a way you already have this one. While none of them are exclusive, the contents are indeed fantastic, giving us our first look at yet another exciting new element, the Parrot. We also get 2 more Imperial soldiers, great for army building, and an excellent selection of pirates. This was the cheapest way to get the iconic Captain Redbeard, as well as the female pirate, Anne, whose only other appearance this year was in the largest, most expensive set in the wave. She has the distinction of being the first specifically female minifigure. This would have been a no-brainer back in '89, but today the only way to prove you own it is if you have the box. There aren't even any instructions to be had. While fun, fascinating, and informative, 6255 Pirates Comic is another one I'd forgive you for overlooking. Again, I don't think it's a bad set, but that's mostly because I'm reluctant to even call it a set. All you get in the way of LEGO parts are these 2 minifigures and their accessories. The real draw here, and even then only for die-hard fans, is the comic. If you want to know who's who and what's where in the pirate world, this is the best reference material I've come across. The story is obviously for kids, but it's pretty enjoyable, and the decision to not use LEGO-style artwork is interesting. If it wasn't for the logo and recognizable character names, you might forget this has anything to do with LEGO while you're reading it. It's certainly worth a look, but it can be pretty pricey. Luckily, if you're not interested in shelling out for a physical copy, scans are available online. I'll leave a link in the description. Back to real bona fide sets, 6257 Castaways Raft not only gave us a wonderful makeshift mode of transportation and a crew of 3 to helm her, but also our very first LEGO shark. This guy was so great, in fact, that he lasted 25 years before being retired and replaced by a new mold. His inclusion really raises the stakes for our castaways, turning an otherwise pedestrian set premise into one of peril and suspense. Whether intentional or just a happy byproduct of the design, the raft rolls smoothly thanks to these round bricks and barrels that make up the floats. And while a bit small, there is enough space here for our 3 minifigures to hold on for dear life. Even if cloth would be preferable, I love the simple but extremely effective tattered sail. And we're generously given 5 weapons and a treasure map to help facilitate potential play scenarios. While nothing here screams must-have, this is one of the more affordable early pirate sets to pick up, and it can make for a nice little display on its own. Speaking of smaller sets, 6260 Shipwreck Island is one of my favorite sub-100-piece pirate offerings LEGO ever gave us. It doesn't stretch the imagination too much to think that this might be what became of the Castaways Raft and her crew. And perhaps that pesky shark had something to do with the fact we've got 1 less pirate here. Our next new at the time elements are most of the parts that make up the classic palm tree, 4 in total. Half of them are still in production to this day. If you didn't know, there are actually 2 sizes of palm leaves, though the smaller of the 2 wouldn't come out until 1994. These are so special to me, and I've been preaching for years that LEGO has yet to build a more convincing and versatile palm tree. This is such a perfect little slice of the Caribbean, and much like the previous set, makes for a great standalone display if your space is limited. Everything here works so well together. From the printed base plate, hidden treasure, some wildlife, a cannon, makeshift boat, etc. There's just so much fun to be had with this, all packed into such a small set. I can definitely recommend adding this to your collection. Almost acting as Shipwreck Island's long-lost brother, 6265 Saber Island is the first of our Imperial structures. It's built upon the same base plate, has a palm tree and cannon, but that's where the similarities end. Where Shipwreck Island depicts a haphazard, hastily constructed pirate's hideout, Saber Island gives us a little glimpse of the well-ordered, meticulously structured architecture of the Imperial forces. Their flag waves proudly in the Caribbean breeze, a perfect pinnacle to this little tower outpost. And this printed panel is such a staple of the Imperial sets, giving us just the right amount of weathering detail here. 3 minifigures are included, 2 soldiers and an officer. These guys are fun to army build with, and personally I prefer the blue coats over the red coats. We also get the same rowboat we saw in Harbor Sentry, sans the oversized artillery. If you have the other Imperial land base, which we'll get to shortly, this is a wonderful complementary set. However, I don't find it quite as fun and inspiring as its pirate counterpart, but that could just stem from the fact that I'm more fond of the rebellious, treasure-seeking half of the theme. It could definitely stand a few custom additions to the interior since it's completely devoid of detail, and adding a ladder wouldn't hurt either. That said, it's far from a bad set, and I still consider it to be one of the classics. With fewer than 200 pieces, 6270 Forbidden Island gave our band of scalawags a base of operations from which to pillage, plunder, and otherwise pilfer their Weasley black guts out. And despite that low part count, this set has incredible play potential. It also makes a great display piece. I'm always in awe of how builds like this come across as so simple, yet they're so iconic. I love everything here, from the rope bridge to the crow's nest, to this classic set-exclusive printed base plate. And for minifigures, we get 3 pirates and 1 Imperial soldier, who, per the instructions, is a permanent guest of the crew. And I glossed over him before, but just try to imagine how revolutionary Captain Redbeard was at the time. From top to bottom, he's all new. New hat, face print, epaulets, hook hand, peg leg. He got it all, and was a major upgrade over your standard minifig. When it comes to LEGO, no matter the theme, I've always been drawn to land-based, playset-style builds as opposed to vehicles, and perhaps that's one of the reasons why Pirates is so high on my list. Don't get me wrong, I love a good car, plane, or boat build too. Heck, the Skull's Eye Schooner is my favorite set of all time. But something like this provides my imagination with a setting, a backdrop that really inspires me and gets my gears turning. Forbidden Island perfectly facilitates creative play. Its open, airy construction feels like a painting without a frame, ready for all kinds of boundless, imaginative adventures. And if something like that interests you, this is another one of the more affordable sets to procure. I definitely recommend it. 6274 Caribbean Clipper, the poor kid's pirate ship. I've heard more stories than I can remember of kids wanting the big ship for Christmas or birthdays, but got this instead. And while I know the feeling, I think labeling this as a consolation prize is a little unfair. Sure, it's a bit on the small side, and feels somewhat incomplete in spots, but it's still a great little ship. And a little ship is better than none at all, right? The color scheme is iconic, the play features are fun, and due to the front-heavy sails, it always looks like it's leaning into whatever our pesky pirates can throw at it. I love the little details like this elusive yellow parrot, only ever seen in 2 sets, and really, all of the yellow trim in general just pops so well. Our crew of 4 includes the rare and somewhat expensive Governor Broadside, and it's their mission to protect the precious cargo at all costs. Aiding in that are 2 cannons ready to poke holes in any ship that dares to defy them. So while it was never meant to overshadow the Black Sea's Barracuda, the Clipper does exactly what it was designed to do. Give kids whose parents weren't ready to drop the modern equivalent of $290 on a pirate ship a chance to sail around the Caribbean in style. And for adults today, it makes for a great display piece. Not to mention, it's so much fun to modify, as I've done to mine. Here's a set that's so good, LEGO made it twice. 6276 Elorado Fortress is a majestic example of Imperial architecture, a true jewel of the Caribbean. It was the very first set to feature a raised base plate, and this particular style with the side ramp would eventually go on to be the foundation of 9 more sets, some of the greatest of all time. It showcases the same opulent-looking yellow and white color palette as Saber Island, and it's jam-packed with play features and storytelling opportunities. There's a crane for loading and unloading the aforementioned precious cargo, a jail cell for locking up scurvy pirates, and if that fills up, there's an overflow dungeon. Or I suppose you could use it as a treasure vault. Numerous forms of firepower and defensive positions can be found, and in addition to the fortress itself, we get a pair of rowboats, one for each faction. A cast of 8 characters help bring the whole thing to life. If it wasn't for the mighty Imperial Trading Post, I'd consider this the best Imperial land base ever made, and even then, there are a few things I actually like more about this one. It is, however, the unquestionable Imperial Champ of 1989, and I absolutely recommend it to anyone considering a purchase. And for what it's worth, the 2023 remake is also a fantastic set, and if you're considering it, I'd suggest doing so before the aftermarket price really skyrockets. So that leaves just one, or should I say, the one. Widely regarded as the greatest LEGO pirate ship of all time, 6285 Black Seas Barracuda is the ultimate in fine pillaging. From jib to stern, Jolly Roger to rudder, nothing is out of place here. Everything clicks. I've used the word iconic several times today, but no set is more worthy of that descriptor than this one. It's another set that has enjoyed multiple releases, references, and a remake, all a testament to its legendary status. When it first set sail in July of 1989, it was the largest LEGO kit ever released, boasting over 900 pieces and a hefty price tag of $110, twice that of the Caribbean Clipper. But for those lucky little kids that woke up Christmas morning to see this under the tree, it was an unforgettable experience that couldn't be measured in dollars or cents. They had reached the pinnacle. I first acquired this in my 30s, and I was astounded by its sheer size and presence. I can only imagine what it would have looked like as an 8-year-old. Pictures and video just don't do it justice. Some of the standout features here are the 4 cannons, functioning crane, working anchor, a proper captain's cabin, below-deck storage, and an unbelievable number of places to pose her crew of 8. And she looks good too. The red and white sails are instantly recognizable, and little details like the figurehead and the elaborate yellow trim contrast fantastically with the sleek dark hull. In a word, the Black Seas Barracuda is a masterpiece. Few sets from all of LEGO's vast catalog come close to rivaling her beauty, majesty, longevity, and ability to stimulate imaginative play. I say all this, and it isn't even my personal favorite pirate ship, but there's no denying the importance and impact this had. It did it first, and I honestly can't argue with anyone who says it did it best. You'll never regret adding this to your shelf. And again, for what it's worth, I regard the remake in Pirates of Barracuda Bay as incredible, and consider the set itself a true modern classic. It's hard to put into words what an impact this first wave had on the future of LEGO as a whole, not just the Pirates theme. In a move that would be unheard of today, by my reckoning, there were an astounding 39 new elements and 25 new prints developed for it. And that doesn't even take color variations into account. It single-handedly paved the way for modern minifigure faces, gave us the first named minifigures, introduced us to new building techniques, and showed us that there was more to LEGO than town, castle, and space, and who knows what might come next. It did all of this while giving us some of the greatest sets of all time, and in the end, LEGO was rewarded for their efforts. Pirates quickly became their best-selling theme ever at the time. It's true, there have been a lot of amazing waves over the years, but you'd be hard-pressed to find any as legendary as the Pirates of 1989. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. As many of you know, I've covered each of these sets we looked at today separately in great detail as part of my Pirates Retrospective series. But if you haven't checked them out, there will be a link to the entire playlist in the description. A very special thanks to the lovable scalawags of Club Maniac. This episode wouldn't have been possible without them, and their support means the world to me and my family. If you'd like to learn more about the perks of becoming a member, there's a link in the description for that too. But until next time, this has been Jamie for TrikBrix. As always, take care and play well.